you're playing a game and it's a competitive game and you need to build a mindset that allows you to be ultra competitive. And if you want to sit there and say, no, I want a non-competitive mindset, then fine. You know what you call people who do not win competitions?
Losers.
Correct. I've had this conversation with a bunch of people, and my basic premise is that I refuse to believe in things that take power away from me. If you are in a haunted house and you believe in ghosts, you're scared of the haunted house. If you're in a haunted house and you don't believe in ghosts, you're just in a house and you don't care. So I don't like the idea when someone explains to me the idea of one day waking up and being miserable and not wanting to live anymore, and it's nothing to do with my circumstances and I have no power over it, and no matter how good my life is, I'm still gonna feel terrible and I'm gonna wanna die. That's not an idea I subscribe to. Feeling depressed is real.
Yeah.
Depression as a disease, I do not subscribe to. The idea, I believe, that if you feel depressed, something is depressing you, and you should try your best to fix it. You should take control of your life and do your best to fix it. The idea, but they don't say that. They don't talk that. They say depression like it's this magic thing that comes out the sky and it gets in your brain, you're sad no matter what, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you need to only take pills. And I think that's a very bad way to look at the world, and that's a bad idea to subscribe to. And if you start to feel depressed, let's say your girl leaves you and you start to feel depressed, but you believe in the idea of depression, you're now going to start diagnosing yourself as clinically depressed, self-hypnosing yourself into hypnotizing yourself into being clinically depressed. And it's amazing how you can speak things into existence. I cannot become depressed because I don't believe in it.
So how about chemical imbalances in the brain?
Bullshit. That's all been disproved anyway.
Really?
It's all been disproved. Firstly, that's all been disproved. And secondly, even if that was true, even if I had a chemical imbalance in my brain, I do not believe in depression. That's just who I am as a person. I don't believe in it. I do not believe in things that take power away from me. So, and people sit there and they try very hard to convince me it's real, which is actually quite interesting because it's always usually depressed people who sit there and try very hard to defend this idea. If you're so scared, if depression's so terrible, why are you sticking up for it? Why are you fighting so hard to convince me it's such a powerful force? Why shouldn't you be doing the opposite? Shouldn't you be listening to me? Whose team are you on? Like, do you want to be depressed? Like, it's insanity, these people who are so desperate to push this idea. Then you add in the pharmaceutical element, the fact that everyone's taking these fucking drugs, messing with their brain chemistry. It's garbage. I think that you feel depressed sometimes because you're human. Let's pretend I'm completely wrong, right? We can look at situational depression like you just described. We can talk about brain imbalance and chemical imbalance. We can talk about clinical depression that you get and it's chronic and there's nothing you can do about it, whatever. Let's pretend all these things are completely true. The best option, the best thing to do is still to get up, be an adult, control your emotions, be stoic, and do the things you're supposed to do day after day. Laying in bed and doing nothing is never going to be the best option. The best option is still to go to the gym, to work hard, to run your business, to be successful. So it doesn't matter. We're talking about the different positions on the chessboard. But if the rules of the game remain the same, regardless of the position you're still trying to win, you still have to do the same things. So does it even matter at this point? If you come along and say he's depressed because of X and he's depressed because of Y and he's depressed because of Z, and the answer to all of them is still the same thing, then I don't give a fuck why you're depressed. All I know, what I will say as a matter of fact, is this world is hyper competitive, especially as a man. Most men are walking through life and they don't realize that it's constant competition. I was driving here, even as I was driving here, I was looking out the window and I was looking at all these people just walking around. One of them had a fucking croissant. One of them was dressed like a dickhead because it's London. He thinks he fucking looks cool. It's a fucking moron.
We've all seen them.
Yeah, moron. Some of the dude just talking shit on the phone. Some other guy with headphones in, waiting to be fucking murdered, wouldn't even hear it coming. And all these NPCs, I'm just looking at them going, do they realize they're in endless, constant competition? Every single pound they want, someone else wants. Every single girl they want, someone else wants. There are people like me out here. I will destroy, you could get all 30 of them in a room and I will sit by myself and absolutely annihilate them in any single metric. And they're just sitting there just fucking floundering and wandering through life unaware of how competitive the world is.
Well, and whinging how unfair it is.
And whinging how unfair it is. And this is my point. If the world is truly that competitive, you do not have time to be depressed because it's a non-competitive mind state. You could be depressed for X, Y, Z, whatever. I'm not depressed. And I want the money you want, and I want the girl you want, and I want the status you want, and the car you want, and the house you want. And I'm gonna get it, and you're fucking not. And that's the bottom line of life.
If you gave that guy that stuff, he probably wouldn't be depressed anymore.
Well, he's get up off his ass and work then, doesn't he? And this is the point. You're playing a game, and it's a competitive game, and you need to build a mindset that allows you to be ultra competitive. And if you want to sit there and say, no, I want a non-competitive mindset, then fine. You know what you call people who do not win competitions?
Losers.
Correct. This is the full circle realization when you get to the point where, as frustrating as it was, you need this slave class of people who buy bullshit so that I don't have to do bullshit stuff, which is great. But if you're, and not everybody's mind can be free because in society it would break down, but Of course, some people's minds are designed for freedom and some people's aren't, but it's amazing when you're talking to the slave mind trying to get through to them. And it played out even in my cancellation. There are people who would sit and get furiously angry about the subject of me, saying I'm a bad person. And when you ask them one bad thing I've said, they don't know. How can you be angry about something and you don't even know why? It's all clown world. It's absolute clown world. It's slave mind, and the slave mind is actually a dangerous thing. When I'm combating it, people think I'm combating it just for fun. No, the most heinous crimes in the history of humanity have been conducted by people who blindly obey governments. Blindly. If you're gonna sit there and be a dummy and blindly comply and be told to hate a certain race or hate a certain person or do a certain thing without thinking, that's how World War II happens. All these people who sit and say, I'm a good person and you're bad because I have my mask and I have my boosters and you're bad. No, I think, you don't. You're the bad people. History is full of people like you who don't fucking think, who do as they're told, and you're the ones who end up fucking murdering people, not people like me. Everyone likes to believe they would have resisted the Nazis. They're the ones who would have not done it. But then they're fucking told to mask up and bend over for the fucking dildo and they take it. It's garbage. And that's their goal, right? Their goal is to soften everybody's brains and to delete one side of the argument. This is why I talk about the Matrix. People say, why do you talk about the Matrix all the time? And I say there are people who are living right now in a computer-generated reality. If you believe everything you're watching on the news, you are believing a complete false version of reality. And the idea of that reality is to keep your brain occupied enough so you'll continue to do a shit job for shit wages and pay your taxes until you die. That's exactly that's the plot of the Matrix movie. They're abusing your body and controlling your mind so that your body will sit there and do what they need it to do until you're no longer useful anymore. And that's exactly what's happening. And another question I get is people ask me why I'm so interested in this fight against the Matrix. And I try and explain to people that I believe this fight cannot be avoided. I think you're either combating the Matrix and fighting against the garbage they're telling you, or you're believing it. And if you believe it, then you end up fighting against yourself. You end up fighting against your own mind. You can't avoid the battle. If you're a full-grown man and you believe everything that's on the news, you're gonna end up fucking semi-depressed, divorced, miserable, broke. Like your life's shit anyway. There's no way to escape this fight. You're either buying their crap and fighting against your mind, or you're fighting against their crap. There's no other way to do it.